doing there, Trish?
Making sure I have all the resources.
Okay. Welcome to KYD.
I see you have a stopwatch.
I do. We're going to stay on point on this one here, okay? Because we've got a lot of information to cover. As you know, if you've been following KYD for a bit, this particular season is the National Park Blitz.
That's right. We love national parks. We didn't always get to stay in them because we've had all different kinds of rigs, huge fifth wheels, tiny teardrops. Right now we're in an Airstream, but it's the National Park Blitz, and that's why we're bringing you awesome hikes.
We took the KYD top 5 hikes safe, we opened it up, and we pulled out all 27 hikes. Who would have thought?
We never just have a 5 or a 10. It's a huge list, and so that's why I think you have this little watch, so that we like kind of move through the different states as quickly as possible with giving you as much information as possible.
Okay, now if you're not too much into hiking, don't worry, because these 27 hikes we have cover a ton of national parks. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Acadia, Arches, Bryce, Banff, Crater Lake, Grand Canyon, Grand Tetons, Great Smoky Mountains, Yosemite, Rocky Mountain National Park, and Zion.
You didn't say the Great Smoky Mountain National Park correctly.
Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Is it getting better?
That's what I wanted.
Okay,
yes,
good,
yes.
good. All right. So we're going to cover all this in order of the states, and we just thought it would be really helpful to give some maybe destination ideas, hiking ideas, so when you hit the road in your RV, you kind of have an idea of some things you'd like to do along the way. And then we're also going to share some details of things to do in the RV in and around these areas.
Sure.
Okay?
Quickly.
Speaking of quickly, I know. One quick disclaimer. I wouldn't say that this is like the top hikes in a particular state.
No, it's just things that we visited when we were there. So that gets us right into resources. One of the things that you will probably find advantageous is to download the All Trails app.
Amazing.
It's fabulous. You'll know if it's easy, moderate, hard. If you can bring a dog, you'll have real pictures of people actually doing it like a few days ago or today, and then their feedback.
And you know what else that's so helpful about this app? Like, let's say you're going to go to the Grand Canyon, you're going to go on like the shoulder season. It snows up on top of the rim. You can pull up All Trails and you can see a review from literally the day before, and they'll say what the ice conditions were, if they needed to bring micro spikes, what the road conditions were. It is crazy up to date with the reviews. Super awesome.
Another thing to download is the recreation.gov, okay? Once you get into this, because I was like, I don't want another app. I just don't. And then I did it, and I was like, this thing is amazing. You can manage your reservations. You can book things. You can also, you know, a lot of national parks are requesting that you reserve your time slot or you reserve your day to even come into the park.
Yeah.
Hi. I have a park pass.
Okay, you have a reservation.
I do not.
Okay, you need to exit then?
Pretend
Hey, got my pass, right? And she's like, that's great. You need a reservation. You can make a U-turn right there, please.
It says reservation tip. Make a reservation.
Make a reservation.
So then you have that. You show your little barcode, boop, boop, and you get through the park. And then there's different recommendations. So everything can be managed in your app under your sign-in name. It's really cool.
So this season, we're about to take off. Mesa Verde is going to be the next national park video.
Yes.
Then we're hitting Capitol Reef. We're going to go back on the Sawtooth Mountains, back behind the Sawtooth Mountains.
Pretty excited about
And then
that.
we're going to hit Rainier, Olympic, Northern Cascades, Mount Rushmore. So that's some upcoming videos that you're going to get this season. One of the things we're doing this year, because it's just Caleb now, and we're set up for dry camping, is we're staying inside a lot of these parks. And when we make the reservation on recreation.gov, it shows right up on the app where the reservation is. So as you're pulling into like Mount Rainier and you're staying inside the park, you can pull up recreation.gov. Not only are you going to have the permit for maybe a hike that requires permits, like the Narrows required a permit, but you're also going to have your site information on that reservation.
So no more writing everything down and then being like, where did I put it?
Yes. Okay, so that covers all the disclaimers and the apps and the resources. This is in alphabetical order per state or province, starting with Arizona.
Arizona, it's our hometown. It's where we raised our kids, and we love Arizona. Summer might not be the perfect time for you to arrive, but if you're coming in the spring, the fall, the winter, you're going to get some wonderful weather.
Yeah.
It actually does get pretty cold here, surprisingly.
It does.
So be prepared.
Okay, so the first up is Sedona. Now as you can see behind us, that's the KYD cabin. We're up in Flagstaff, Arizona. Sedona is just down the 89A, about 35 minutes from the cabin. And one of the hikes along the way that you'll find is a favorite of ours, a local favorite of ours called West Fork.
Beautiful, stunning. It's like baby Zion. That's what people have paralleled it to. So Sedona is beautiful in and of itself. And when you use the All Trails app, you can find a hike that's awesome. We did Devil's Bridge with the kids.
Yeah.
I was almost hyperventilating. Everybody waits their turn to go across this beautiful bridge, and it's like a community event. So people will hold your phone and take pictures for you so that you can see this beautiful arch underneath you while you're standing in the middle. It's spectacular.
Tons of stuff to do in Sedona. Staying in Sedona, though, can be a little bit difficult. I think the RV park there is...
While you're thinking of that, there are preserved lands that you're allowed to go back onto, BLM.
Yeah, BLM. There's a lot
Bureau
of BLM.
Of Land Management. Do they have an app?
No, but I use Campendium to find dry camping spots. There's a lot of Bureau of Land Management spots, but in terms of actually like RV parks in Sedona, I think it's just Rancho Sedona. That's right downtown, right behind Oak Creek Canyon. Not a lot of places to stay, but there's Devil's Bridge that you mentioned. There's West Fork, and then... and then there's Cathedral Rock. Sedona is definitely a wonderful RV destination.
It's a destination among the best destinations because it's stunning.
Okay, Arizona, another state park that is wonderful is Lost Dutchman. It's out in Mesa, Arizona.
Beautiful hiking all through there. You park your rig and you're literally stadium seating to see the beautiful mountains, stunning sunsets. If you've never seen an Arizona sunset, you're in for a treat. The saguaros, the wildlife, it's all there. And it's a very friendly park because I think that the RVs are not like right next to each other, but they're close enough where you can make friends and say hi and see people walking around, but then have your own space.
But it is Mesa, Arizona. So this is where if you're going to be visiting in the summertime, you're going to want to make sure that you have electrical because or a really good generator, or you're in a site that you can run your generator because a lot of the sites there, as we learned, are dry camping only.
Well, we just checked into 34. I did not know when I made the reservation that it was not water and electric. That's fine. I'm just wondering if anyone has canceled.
No, but I'd suggest going online if you're going to be here more days. There might be some open tomorrow.
Okay. So maybe we can move tomorrow. Yeah. So you think I didn't think you could make a reservation the same day though.
Today.
Oh, make it today for tomorrow. Yeah. And then we'll just move. Yeah. That's a good idea. Okay. All right, thank you.
But the hike there is Flatiron, and we really enjoyed that because you go up through Flatiron. You can go on the Flatiron, and you can go like up right below the cliffs. You can go up on top of the cliffs. So you can kind of choose your own adventure. But if you like, cholla cacti and just all the different like ocotillos and some of the flowers that bloom right out of the saguaro and stuff like that. That desert landscape is phenomenal.
And really close by, I think an hour and a half, you have Saguaro National Park. So if you love checking off lists like I do, you're not going to want to leave Arizona without going to Saguaro National Park. Really, for me, the best way to do it is through a drive. The hikes are, the driving through is really neat, and then hitting Tucson for some really great food.
Okay, now, the other thing you need to know about Arizona is you have to mind your altitude. In fact, if you are on a summer vacation and you want to head west, and you're thinking it's really hot out there, how am I going to manage it? Try to manage your trip based upon altitude. And know that anything above maybe 4,000 feet, 4,000 to 5,000 feet, anything above that, you'll probably be okay at night because it gets a little cooler. Anything below 5,000 feet, that's where you probably start looking for RV parks that have 30 or 50 amps so that you can run that AC. Okay, but if you do come up north, where we are, and you go to the Grand Canyon, Bright Angel Trail is kind of the quintessential Grand Canyon trail. That's the one that goes all the way down into Phantom Ranch. Well, actually, there's two trails that go down to Phantom Ranch, Kaibab and Bright Angel. And then you go all the way to the North Rim. The North Rim takes a bit of extra effort to get to the other side. It is worth the effort. There's fewer crowds, stunning views, really worth the time.
Yes, and we're looking to go down and do another big hike. To
Phantom Ranch.
Yeah,
spend a couple nights down there.
Yes, so we're looking forward to doing that at some point over the next 12 months. The next one on our list is really an RV's epic destination.
Yes.
This is where people plan for years. It's Alaska.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and it's quite a journey.
I don't have actual data and statistics on this, but based upon our
that's always a good opener.
That's based on our personal experience. It just seems like this is the place that people go when they retire.
Oh yeah,
right. When we were there, they were like, "I just retired." They were like, "I retired. I went to Alaska."
Yeah.
Right. And I don't blame them. Now the only hike we're going to mention in Alaska is Valdez Glacier. Now there's so much to do there. I mean, there's hiking everywhere, but the Valdez Glacier was so spectacular. Because if you have to at least once walk on a glacier. It's not like anything you've really ever experienced, right? The way it sounds.
It creaks. It talks to you.
It does.
It's actually
moving.
a little bit spooky, but it's popping and it's making noise and it's just neat. Out of body.
And the cool thing
experience.
about Valdez is that it has this shale rock that it's absolutely covered in. And that as it's moving around, big pieces of like the glacier will be exposed, and then you can see the ice and the blue coming from underneath it. It was stunning. So, and not to mention Valdez should be on your list when you go to Alaska anyway, because then we went on the Lulubelle and we went all the way out to, was it Columbia Glacier?
Oh, that was so neat.
Yeah,
I don't exactly remember, but the whole ride we were learning all kinds of things from the captain.
Okay, now if you don't yet have the time to do Alaska, we always tell everyone, go to Banff first. Go up to Alberta, go to Banff, and hit Jasper, because it's a lot closer than Alaska. And when you get there, you'll be so overwhelmed with the beauty. If you're seeing it for the first time on your way to Alaska, you might say, wait a second, we need to stay here. And so if you do it first, then you can get it all out of your system and go explore. And then you get to go by again a second time on your way to Alaska.
That's right. There's wildlife everywhere. The hiking is phenomenal. In fact, when you're driving through, you're actually driving through a national park.
Yes.
So it was
the first national park. I learned that Banff was Canada's first national park.
Really?
Yeah. And it's, of course, at the top of the Rockies. It's stunning. A lot of people ask, especially who don't follow the channel, they find out that we've traveled a lot. And they say, what's your favorite place? Trish has the best answer because it's the most true. And that is that people make the best place.
That's right.
People and experiences. But if we had to choose a location based upon just sheer beauty.
Yes.
Banff is always the place that comes to mind.
She's a winner. She is a winner. And really close to Whistler. And then you can hop on over. I say hop on over. It's actually quite a drive. To Jasper and...
hop on up. I thought you were going to say hop on over to maybe Vancouver Island in Victoria.
Sure. But Athabasca Glacier.
Yes.
It is beautiful. Again, it's a glacier. It's moving. We can't tell you that you're going to have the same experience. We had, the day we were there, this cave opened up.
Yeah.
And we were able to walk through it. We were able to see running water next to us. Beautiful blue crystal snow over the top of us.
Yeah.
It was stunning.
Now, on that particular day, and I'll link that episode right there, you can watch that episode, and I'm sure in the description I left the tour guide, the guide company we went out with. There's some things that it really makes sense to hire a guide, and being on a glacier is one of them, because a professional guide is going to know well, first of all, they're there every day. So he was saying, yesterday that crevice wasn't there. And so he knew exactly where to take us in and do it in a safe manner, because, glaciers are kind of alive in a way.
Well, and they bring equipment that you may not be traveling with, like microspikes and walking sticks and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, so Athabasca Glacier, that made it. And then regarding Banff, I just want to say, this isn't necessarily a hike, it's more of a walk, but walking around Lake Louise, which is, of course, at the resort there. What's that resort?
It's a forest.
The Fairmont.
Yes.
The Fairmont.
Yes. And there's also a little tea house in the back that we didn't have time to go visit. But you can walk all the way around the lake. They have canoes that you can rent. It really is an experience. It's not just a hike. It's a whole day.
And then a little bonus, you can go over to Lake Moraine from there, which is what we did. And you can kind of hike up on top of the cliff, so you get this gorgeous view of Lake Moraine. All the wood. Remember all the wood slats that the boys were walking on?
Yes.
And then, the wildlife in this part of the country is robust. There's bears and elk and moose and, well, actually,
there were rams.
I'll be correct on that, because there actually is not elk in that area, right?
Yes, but even when we were getting fuel, well, then it was gas, but we saw 3 rams with their big, beautiful horns at the gas station. We're like, do we get out of the car? I don't know what to do. So anyway.
Okay, in alphabetical order, we're going to go to California now. California has a lot to offer when it comes to hiking in the outdoors, especially if you're going to be along the coast going up the 1.
I think it's always interesting to remember that people from around the world fly to the United States just to see our beauty. Big Sur is a top destination for any RVer.
Yes.
The drive along the 1 is gorgeous if you have a smaller rig, or you leave the rig and you go on the drive with whatever sports car or tiny car or your big truck, and you will have the best day. So McWay Falls is beautiful, and one of the things that makes it interesting is sometimes the road is damaged due to mudslides, earthquakes, things like that, and so it's not always open. So when you do get an opportunity to go to Pfeiffer State Park,
that's right.
and and then you can go walk over to McWay Falls. It really is a treat.
So now traveling a little bit further up the coast, and you get up just north of Eureka, we were so lucky to find Fern Canyon Loop. Okay, when we were walking through there, we thought, we feel like we were inside the set of Jurassic Park. And then we found out that I think they actually did record.
They used pieces of it there, yes.
In Fern Canyon. So it's just a gorgeous canyon with these ferns coming off the walls.
It's just a stroll. It's not a hike.
No.
So that's to tell you that you can bring any member of your family and have a good time. Maybe not strollers, though. But
yeah.
Yes.
But that part of the country is so beautiful. When you're coming up along the coast and you're just basically going from lighthouse to lighthouse with crashing like waves coming up on the cliffside is definitely a treat. And then right after Fern Canyon, we actually went up into the redwoods, and we went to go look for those giant redwoods.
We ruined our children forever. We said we were going on a 1.5 mile hike. It turned into about a 7.5 mile hike. So after that day, I could no longer call a hike because the kids would say, "No, I don't want to go." I'd say, "We're going on a walk to go see a waterfall." They're like, "I know it's a hike. I know you're taking me on a hike." I'm like, "No. It's just a walk. Come on, let's go." But if we make our way back down the shore of California and go inland a little bit, you have the absolutely stunning Yosemite. And one of the things that you can do is the Mist Trail. But again, this is where you're going to want to use recreation.gov so that you can plan your entrance, because they are asking that you get a pass to come in. And one of the things that we did when we were there is hit the Mist Trail. That waterfall coming over is so beautiful. It's a little slippery, but most family members can make their way up there. Our kids were pretty small when they did it the first time.
It's steep. There's a lot of steps, but it is worth the effort. There's a long kind of gradually steep sidewalk that goes up, and then it finally gets to the trail where it has these large granite steps.
Yes,
but the waterfall that comes off is just stunning, and they call it the Mist Trail because you will get wet, and not in a bad way. I just kept wiping off my camera lens, but it is definitely, that is officially in our top 5, as was Jasper Athabasca Glacier was. So we'll cover our official top 5s as we go through the list, but Yosemite definitely needs to be on every RVer's list, and if you're a hiker, the Mist Trail for sure.
Yes. Okay, so let's make our way to Colorado. Oh my gosh, be prepared to be stunned just by the elevation, the sheer magnitude of the entire state. There's waterfalls everywhere. There's hikes everywhere. And when I go there, I say, why don't we come here more?
I know.
Every time I'm there.
Especially in the fall. And you'll find that when it comes to Colorado, the summer is their peak season, but probably maybe really close to that is going to be October, because that's when all the aspens turn yellow.
Oh my gosh.
And so if you're planning on hitting Colorado in October, plan to have a reservation, because you're not going to be the only person that wants to see all these like shimmering yellow aspen leaves right before the fall. Couple hikes we picked there is Rocky Mountain National Park, Emerald Lake.
Really
This
beautiful.
is up in Estes, Colorado. And Estes is the bestest. That's how we always remember how to pronounce it. And up in Rocky Mountain National Park, we actually got this hike from our waitress the night before.
Yes.
And that's a bit of a pro travel tip is rather than always just going to Google and finding out the stuff that might be popular on Instagram or popular in blogs, find out where the locals are hiking. If you're out to dinner and you kind of get the sense, we got the sense that our waitress was
she was strong, and we could just tell she was a local. And we said, "Are you from here?" "Oh yeah, born and raised." And we were like, "Would you share with us where you like to go hiking?" And she said, "Okay, well, this is where the locals go."
Yeah.
And
didn't she actually give us a name off of the Emerald Trail, but it was snowed in, we couldn't go there?
Yes, and you can hit a lot of things from here. There's the Dream Lake, there's Emerald Lake, there's a lot of things that you could do from this particular location, but that is the pro tip, is to ask the locals.
Anyway, Rocky Mountain National Park was great. Also abundant in wildlife, which is great. Okay, Colorado Springs. Now this hike made it just because it's just so dang hard and well known. It's called the
Incline. Hiking with Caleb. So, hike fact.
And it's I think it's something like a mile, and there's just all these railroad ties. I actually did it with Caleb, and it was a lot of fun. We had to include it on this list because it's something that I think about all the time, so it left a lasting memory.
It left a lasting memory because it was hard. Yeah. If you're not into death by hike, you could go tour the Air Force Academy. That's there. Yes. It's really neat. So always remember, if you need to divide and conquer when you're on a trip, an RV trip with more than one person, sometimes everybody has different needs, and so it's okay to break up and say, "Oh, okay, okay, this hike's going to take me about an hour and a half. Drop me off. You go do something, pick me back up at a trailhead. Or it's a really great way to get dropped off one place and picked up at a different location if you're hiking through a trail.
Now, you should know that if I were to do the incline again, I would go up the incline and I would actually hike down the back.
Oh.
I wouldn't go down the front. Now let's talk about Tennessee, home to the Great Smoky Mountain National Park.
At first glance, you're going to be going through kind of some kitschy towns like Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. And some people might be like, this is right up my alley. I love just walking around fun little towns. And some people might be like, oh, what happened to the national park? Just move yourself right into that national park. And we have found that the more you visit, the more you learn.
Yep.
Because it's a stunner. The drives, the hikes, the wildlife, it's all there. You just need to uncover it a little bit. And some of the things that we've truly enjoyed are the chimney top hikes.
Yeah.
Well, it's one hike, but the stairs that go up, you're going over water. It's just beautiful. And when you finally reach the pinnacle, you have this stunning view of the rolling green hills that are the Smoky National Park. It's just the embodiment of the park at the top, at the climax of this hike.
Now, the chimney top is maybe moderate to difficult because of the length and the amount of stairs that you have to go up. So if you're looking for something that's maybe not as difficult, you could do Grotto Falls, which is shorter and it has a waterfall in the end. And as Trish said, sometimes we always needed a little bit of a carrot with our kids to say, hey, we're going to hike to a waterfall. But the best way to describe Grotto Falls is just extremely like peaceful and relaxing. And the drive to get up there actually made our top 5 scenic drives just going in there. But one thing to mention, we just did this last season, Klingham's Dome.
Yes.
And the reason we didn't do it the first time is because we heard it was a sidewalk that goes up to the top and we were just kind of like, We loved it. It was great. Extremely steep, but it's so worth it because you get up there and you just have this beautiful 360-degree view of everywhere around you.
When you're RVing, one thing to pay attention to is the weather. So let's say you're staying at the Smoky National Park and you have 3 days. Find the bluest, clearest day and make one of the hikes that has a view on that day. So that way, because it really can get socked in and you don't have the payoff.
Okay, page 2, we're going into Utah. This is there's more hikes that made the list in Utah than any other state we're going to talk about, mostly due to the Mighty 5. We're going to talk about Zion, Arches, Bryce, and Zion has a lot of them, starting with last weekend's episode, the Narrows, which we've done the Narrows before. Season 1, we started at the bottom. We rented the boots, the shenanigans of the boys.
Jesus, take it from my hands.
And so we went from the bottom and we went up as far as we could, but I always wanted to see just a little bit more. And so when Kent invited us to do Narrows from the top down, which we thought was 16 miles and it turned out to be 21 miles, we had to say yes. But it definitely made our top 5. And the other hike inside Zion that made our top 5, of course, is Angel's Landing.
My personal favorite. That was on my bucket list. And again, Kent helped us figure that all out. We went in the winter, really.
Yeah.
It was very chilly, but really nice. And if you ever want to think about, okay, how do I hit these hikes with fewer crowds? It's either getting up really early or going on the shoulder season. And so that's what we did with Angel's Landing because it is known to be very busy. And you're hiking up with chains and then you're zigzagging up these tiny little spine entryways to the next overlook. And then you think you're there and then you can see this little area where you're going to go hike again up this chain. And it is absolutely beautiful. When you get to the top, bring your little lunch, have a seat, and enjoy the view. Okay, so speaking of the view is spectacular, but the next best view in Zion, which really looks a lot like the view you're going to get from Angel's Landing, it's just from a different vantage point, is the outlook or the overlook. And the cool thing about the overlook, it's only like 1.1 miles. We did it with the kids when they were younger, but where it's positioned in the park, you're looking out at the Zion National Park, but on your left you can see the little small windows. You can see that highway, which is pretty cool, on the east side of the park. Now, leaving Zion and going to Bryce. This is a hike. This is the only hike on this list that we have not done, but I had to include it because I wanted to do it so bad. The kids were younger and we had a little bit of a mountain biking debacle.
I think what I've learned is that my family mountain biking dreams literally have shattered in less than 1 mile.
Hey, you still got me. I mean, I made it first.
And so we didn't end up doing it, but that is the Navajo Loop. And what's cool about the Navajo Loop, I'm sure you've seen pictures, is it has kind of like that trail that comes down like this. So that remains on my bucket list, but the next time we're in Bryce, that is the hike
We're going to hit that one up.
Okay, let's talk about Delicate Arch and stuff in Arches.
Okay, Arches is a wonderful park to go to. If you love a road trip and a drive the whole park one day and just take in all the beauty that is the Red Mountains and the different viewpoints. Then maybe the next day decide, oh, I'm going to go to these 3 hikes. And one of the things that we loved is Delicate Arch. There's Landmark Arch and Delicate Arch. And the funny story is those names got swapped on accident when they were first plotting it out on the maps, and you can absolutely see that Delicate Arch should have been Landmark Arch. And when you get up there, it is beautiful. They do tell you, the park rangers tell you, you need to be really careful. You'll see some people just like hop and skipping and going down there, but winds will come in really quickly and you'll lose your balance. So just be aware that it is nature's playground. It means there's no fences, there's no signs, and you need to be aware of your surroundings. So going there in the morning to see the sunrise, or like we did to see the sunset, is a total treat.
I would probably suggest the sunrise because there's going to be fewer people, and that'll be beautiful. But you can't go wrong either way.
You can't go wrong. Okay, so we're going in alphabetical order, which brings us to Maine, but that means we are going to have to go all the way across the country, but you have an RV, so this is totally okay. Maine has treasures upon treasures to go and see. I wouldn't mind going there every summer and exploring a new nook and cranny or bay. One of the best places that we enjoyed was Acadia National Park. Again, that is a road tripper's dream. We love a national park that checks all the boxes for anybody that could be traveling. So if you have people that aren't quite as mobile as others, whether it's because maybe they have a knee injury or they're older or they're little, you can still get the same views in Acadia through your car. But if you can go for a hike, a spectacular one is the Beehive.
One of my faves, definitely made the top 5. I think it made the top 5 just because I like hikes that are technical like that, and it has these like not cables, what are those?
Bars.
Like bars, like rods. And you have to climb up certain ladders and you have to go around. So if you're afraid of heights, it's probably not for you, but you should know you can go up the back. So if you have a dog or you have little ones or anyone's afraid of heights, you can go up the back and you can get the same exact view. One of the things we did is we went up the front and we went down the back. Again, slower on the easier on the knees, and then you're not going backwards down those rods.
Yes, and one of the cool things is it's one of the very few national parks that allows dogs on the trail. So here we go.
Okay, so that covered Maine. It really deserved a lot more, but that's all we have for this episode. But we're gonna go to Montana now, on the other side of the country, Bozeman, and this is another hike that's not like a majestic hike. This is probably like a local's favorite, but it really was great. And they call it Big Sky Montana for a reason. And when you do this hike, you'll see exactly why Montana has the name.
Yes, the big sky just opens up and you see a whole view of the valley. And if you're there at the right time, which is spring, it's not the right time, but the time to see the flowers, the wildflowers are absolutely gorgeous, and you make your way up to the M. At the bottom, there's a choice to make. There's 2 different roads. One is more steep than the other, and the other one gives you more zigzags up your way to the M. But we found it to be fantastic. The air was fresh and crisp.
Now you say Montana spring. I think spring in Montana is June, and winter is September. So make sure you plan your time there accordingly, so you're not in the snow.
Yes.
And of course, what's cool about Montana too is that it's like right outside of the thoroughfare of all the national parks, Yellowstone and Glacier, and so you can kind of head into Bozeman. Okay, now New Hampshire. So much great hiking and outdoor that we had in New Hampshire, Vermont. I mean,
Vermont's not even on the list.
It's not even on the list.
And one of my favorite places to go in Vermont is Stowe.
Yes.
And I'm not necessarily for the hiking, but the town is so cute. There's bike trails and the architecture and the food. Great.
Yeah.
But we're talking about New Hampshire.
Okay, so in New Hampshire, when we were doing it a couple years ago, we were kind of like, where in New Hampshire we go, and everyone's talking about the White Mountains. I think that's where we're going to get the
Kangamangas.
pass.
Oh, the
Kangamangas.
pass?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
that's what we're gonna do.
Well, you should have told me that, Dad.
I know. And that's exactly how you pronounce it, by the way.
We were there in the fall. Is that highway that has the
S-curves
Yes.
all the way through. Anybody who loves a road trip, or anybody who has maybe a sports car in there, or a car that
Motorcycles.
a motorcycle that they love driving, they're hitting this trail. Roofs are down, sunroofs are open, people are hanging out windows, everyone's taking a picture. It's kind of the place to
We
be.
were actually out there, and then Trish mentioned Stowe. Then we did Route 100, but I think in this context could be Route 100.
Yes.
Route 100 down through. It was the fall. It was the perfect, like the apples and all that stuff going on. Okay, so we hit the White Mountains, and what we wanted to do is the Flume Gorge. Amazing pictures of Flume Gorge, but it was closed by the time we got there. And so we actually found on All Trails an alternative hike. What is that? Is that Georgiana Falls? Georgiana Falls. And this was kind of like a last minute, well, if that's closed, let's go do this. It turned out to be, again, peaceful. There was moss on the rocks, streams. We were there by ourselves.
The
it
leaves
was the
were
fall.
changing.
It was fantastic.
It was gorgeous.
Okay, now we're going back to the West Coast, and we're going up into Oregon, and we did Toketee Falls. Same thing. We went to go see Crater Lake. That was kind of like the big draw. And then we wanted to go do a hike with the boys, and I think some locals were talking about Toketee Falls. And that was kind of like, this was season 1. This was the first time that we were with the kids where we had kind of like one of those cool technical hikes where you had the ropes, and the kids had to go up the ropes, and you go up then down ladders, and then you walk actually down to the falls, and you look up at them. And I think that's where we really got the family on board with the whole hiking thing. I think hikes need to have, especially with kids, they need to have some element of accomplishment.
Adventure.
That's it. And this was kind of the first one that we came across. So we'd love that. I'm sure there are endless hikes in Oregon and Washington, and we haven't even talked about Washington, that we'll be doing here this season, because this is, as we mentioned, we're going to be going up through the PNW again, and we're going to be in national parks, and we're going to be hiking.
Yes.
Okay, so we're zigzagging all across the country. Virginia, we were just there.
Virginia. Okay, Charlottesville, put it on your list.
Yeah.
It is so much fun, and we had no idea. Great food, again, really beautiful town.
Amazing history I'm sure everybody knows about.
Yes, and one of the places that we hit was Crabtree Falls. There is this whole subculture just outside of town where you'll find breweries, vineyards, hiking, waterfalls. It's endless.
Yeah.
So, and it's all very quaint and smaller sized campgrounds. So you'll want to make your reservations, especially in peak seasons.
Okay, rounding out the list with the W, Wyoming, Grand Tetons, and there's so much great hiking in the Grand Tetons. Of course, you're going to want to have bear spray, now that I remember, like Yellowstone, Alaska, Wyoming. Very good idea to have bear spray on you when you're doing these hikes. But this was another local. We got this from the waiter at the restaurant the night before, and he was talking about what they call Jump Rock, and I think that's the unofficial name, but really what you're doing is you're hiking down to Phelps Lake. So if you want to find this hike, just go to All Trails and type in Phelps Lake. It's a difficult hike. It's 7 miles down, so it's easy to get down. It's hard to get back up. But once you get down there, it's definitely worth it, and if you can find the Jump Rock, it's just the perfect height for jumping off and having a lot of fun. And we were down there with a whole bunch of high school teenagers and things like that.
When you think you should hit the water, but you haven't yet, so then you let out a little scream.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So there you have it. Our top 5 KYD hikes in North America.
That's KYD style. Top 5.
Top 5.
27. How about that?
Maybe even 29 now that I think about it.
Yeah.
All right, so this season, more to come, because, I mean, there's places in Washington and Oregon and other national parks, Olympic, Northern Cascades, that have some hikes that I just cannot even wait and really should have been on this list. But again, this list wasn't necessarily top hikes in North America versus things that we have done so that we can show you with the footage that we have.
That's right. And one of the things that we are really focusing on during this National Park Blitz is creating blogs so you have resources, so that you can go to keepyourdaydream.com, and we'll have blogs there for every one of the national parks we've been to, where to stay, what to do, what hikes were awesome, and if I have anything to do with it, what to eat.
Yes.
So,
well, and the reason we want to do that is because sometimes we have a hard time figuring out how to approach a national park.
Yes.
Like
They're so massive.
They're so big, and then when we get there, it all kind of comes together, and we think, well, this would have been nice to know if we get that little newspaper,
The memo.
the little memo. and you check into a national park, they're like, here's your newspaper. You open up, and you're like, well, this would have been great to know. I don't know why I can't find it online.
That's because when you get to a national park, you have to go to the visitor center.
You do.
The rangers are phenomenal. I don't know what you do to become a ranger, but there's got to be you are phenomenal class, okay? Because they just know so much and they have such a joy in expressing it and sharing it with you. So you really miss out if you don't hit the visitor centers.
Yeah. Plus, you can get your passport stamped because I know a lot of people are doing
Yes.
that. Okay, so we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing the blog. Hop on our email list so that you can get more information. If you are already on our email list and you read to the very bottom of the email, last week I said that we would be talking about a solar video. Well, the sun has finally just come up. It's been raining the entire week, and I didn't want to record a solar video in the rain.
In the rain.
And plus, on that email, so many people replied with questions. I wanted to incorporate more questions. So know that we're working on a full solar walkthrough schematic answering questions on the Airstream.
Very cool.
And then other than that, Mesa Verde and the rest of the National Park Blitz, dropping Carson off at school. This is going to be a very interesting season, and we even have some more exciting stuff happening at the end of the year. It's going to be kind of crazy, and we're glad you're here for this adventure.
Yes, thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here, and we can't wait to see you next Sunday. So the sun is starting to go behind the mountain, and you can see the mist, the fog. We call it the dewy atmosphere over these green hills. It's really magic.
What is that technology?
Oh, that's
It's
so
like
awesome.
a work of art.
And this swoop used to be connected to that edge down there. So it's been pulling up and tipping backwards.
Wow.
The glacier makes certain hissing noises like a snake. It psss, psss. But that's what Tricia was talking about when she said the glacier's alive. You know, if you hear in the distance, it sounds like someone threw a big rock down a crevasse, because rocks are falling down in the crevasse all the time. No one else is out here but us. So when you hear a rock go down a crevasse in the distance, you're like, oh, who's over there? And you're like, oh, no one's over there.
Please don't.
Ice tasting. Glacier ice tasting.
Glacier ice tasting.
Is it good?
It's the best here.
Well, it does get better than this. I don't even know if I want to record after this. I think I'm just going to stop.
You're gonna stop?
Yeah.
Well, you might have to show that we actually do get back in the
Oh, that's
canoe
true.
successfully.
Yeah, all right.
And we make our way back.
Okay.
But
Well,
just in case.
We've gone as far as this tour goes. We've gone right up to the
Literal
pinnacle
edge.
and now we're going to make our way back. The sun's kind of coming out. It's getting brighter.
It is.
Yeah.